Hello everyone, today I have a basic but very important tutorial about how to draw and paint a piece of cloth. There is a separate tutorial for drawing a shirt on my channel, but I realized that maybe we should start from the basics. So this is for the beginners and I want you guys to practice this and only then check out the other video. Now, to strengthen our basics, we need to start from the major shape. So, I have this reference right here and let's figure out what is the overall shape. So, in the first glance, we can see it's like kind of a rectangle, but the top two areas are hanging. So, the middle part is creating kind of a U shape. And from those hanging areas, the folds are being created. Based on the breakdown of the main shape, we can quickly draw a sketch without too much effort, and it's going to still give you the impression of a piece of cloth. Let me show you how. Now, we are going to figure out the light and shadow. So, let's spot all those shadowy regions first. Now that we have covered all the shadow parts, let's point out all the highlighted regions. Now that we have all the shadowy and highlighted regions, if I move it aside, you can see as if it's a piece of cloth. And that's the magic of light and shadow. Now this is a very important point. If you notice all the highlighted regions, you can see the intermediate zones are so soft. They have literally no hard edges at all. Then if we see really dark shadows, they have super sharp edge with little to no blending. So we have to use the brushes accordingly for the lighter part and darker part. We are going to discuss about the brush later, but let me give you a quick example first. So this is a cylinder that we are going to fill with color. The top portion is going to be lighter in color, so it's going to have a soft edge, and the sides of this cylinder it's going to have sharp edges. The same theory is going to be applied to this kind of folds. Now that we have covered all the basics, let's start painting. For doing the outline, you can follow two things. One is drawing the outline with any random line art or sketch brush and then paint it. But I prefer the second option better, which is creating the silhouette first. Silhouette is basically the overall shape of the object without any light or shadow. For that method, I'm going to draw a rectangle and curve it out with eraser. It's basically like carving a stone to give it a proper shape. I'm going to use the lasso eraser because lately I am really enjoying this tool. After carefully removing all the unnecessary parts, we have to modify or add the things that we have missed. And for that, I'm going to use the lasso fill tool. Now for the final touch, we can use liquify pen to fix the overall shape if necessary. Okay, so we have our basic shape ready. It's time to go for the fun part. First, take a new layer above the silhouette layer, then clip it and fill out the shadows first. Now again, you have two options. First option would be looking at the reference and filling out the shadowy parts using the lasso fill tool. And the second option would be roughly drawing out all the folds on a separate layer for extra support. As this is a beginner friendly tutorial, so I'm going to go for the second option. Let's quickly draw the folds that we can see in our reference. I am using stylish pen here. You can use any kind of Lineart brush that you are accustomed with. For the better understanding of the shadowy region, I'm going to do a little shading so that we remember which parts should be darker. Now we have a better understanding of where to add our lights and shadows. Let's go back to the shadow layer and start adding color. I am going to start with the darkest areas and then I'm going to change the opacity to make it lighter. If you want, you can do it with a normal paintbrush if lasso tool is not your cup of tea. But I can tell you this, it's a super useful tool and I personally think it works faster than brushes for laying down base color. This is how it looks like after adding all the shadows, and without even having any highlights we can still see it's a piece of cloth. What we did here is, without worrying about the small details, just filled out all the big shadowy parts. With minimal strokes we have achieved the illusion of drawing a cloth, which is our main goal. Now similarly, I'm going to add all the highlighted parts on a separate layer. Like the previous segment, I'm going to start with the brightest part and then gradually decrease the brightness. Now that we are drawing folds, let me talk about this. So these kind of folds happen when we hang the clothes from somewhere. But there are different folds other than that, especially the ones that we can see in a normal outfit. For example, rolled sleeves or a flying skirt. So comment down below if you want to make me tutorial about those folds as well. So this is what we have after laying down all the shadows and highlights. We haven't even blended anything yet, but it still looks like a cloth. How cool is that? Just by understanding the shape and light and shadow, we can achieve such marvelous results. Now the only thing is left is to blend things out, and we are going to follow the cylinder method that I mentioned in the beginning. So let's check out what brushes I'm going to use to do that. For sharp edges, I'm going to use Fed watercolor brush, and this is going to be the settings of the mixer brush. For not so soft and not so hard regions, I'm going to use airbrush trapezoid 20%. And finally, for the softest areas, it's going to be the airbrush normal. And for all these three brushes, the parameters are same. The color mix and drag parameter must be at 100%. You can change the wetness percentage, but the other two must be at 100%. Before starting blending, you have to merge all the layers into a single layer and make sure to turn on the alpha lock so that no color spills out while blending. Now watch me blend carefully. I will try my best to only blend out the edges, not the middle part. We will not mess with the middle areas if not necessary. We need to only blend out the intermediate zones. It's a bit difficult here because the cloth folds are intricate, so the colors might get mixed up when you try to blend, but it's not a problem. If it gets mixed up, we can fix it later by having a new color and painting over the messed up areas. As you can see, I am currently using the hard edge blending brush. And next I'm going to show you the brush for not so hard and not so soft blending. For this kind of blending, we need comparatively lighter dark region. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. It's not super dark region, but comparatively lighter. Finally, let me show you how to blend the really soft parts. Just take out the normal airbrush, but make sure the opacity is higher because it is a weak brush. It needs more opacity to blend things up. It might not look properly blended in one stroke like the other brushes, but if you keep on blending over and over, you will gradually get the soft look desired. See how soft it looks? You just have to be patient while using an airbrush because it has a potential to make things messed up if you can't use it properly. So now that you have seen all the three kind of blending, let me quickly recap the process. For sharp edges, use Fed watercolor brush like this. Then for mildly soft areas, especially for the darker regions, we are using the airbrush trapezoid 20%. And then for super soft parts, we're going to use the soft airbrush normal. That's all you need to know for blending. So now I'm going to show you how it looks like after I blend out everything. So this is how it looks like after I finished blending everything. It took me around half an hour to 45 minutes blend everything out properly. Remember how I told you if you have mixed the colors up or if you have any kind of muddy color going on, we can fix it. So now it's the time for those fixing. So what I'm going to do is take a new layer above the painting layer and clip it. Then I'm going to take the soft airbrush to apply some highlights to make it pop out even more. This time we are not going to use the mixer brush but the normal airbrush. Make sure to erase out the parts that does not fall into the highlighted region. Now if we check the before and after image, we can see how much better it looks like after adding the new highlights. Technically we have finished the tutorial here, but I'm going to give you 2 more secret tips. So the first secret tip is you are going to use the liquify pens and choose the shrink option. Then go to those sharp edges and carefully add the strokes over the intermediate zone. Make sure to handle the size of the liquify pen to avoid any kind of messing up. If we use this shrink effect on those intermediate areas, the sharpness becomes more prominent, and that is what we are achieving here. This is a very minute detail, but if you are a detail freak, then it's a great thing to do. And now, the final tip is to use the bloom function to make it look like the cloth is illuminated by a very soft light and it is also radiating some of those lights into the environment. So what you have to do is click on the FX button, then go to Artistic and find the bloom function. Then by changing the parameters according to your need, you can create a really aesthetic end result. I'm sure you can see the effect I was talking about, and that's it, nothing else. Now we have a properly painted piece of cloth which could be easily turned into an actual outfit. So if you start practicing this and clear your basics, you would be able to paint those complicated folds with ease. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions regarding the process. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care.